Let me set the scene for you. Her name is Meera. She's 29 years old. And she just became the CEO of her father's construction company overnight. Her dad, Mr. Sharma, built that company from nothing. We're talking about a man who started with one truck and a dream. Over 30 years, he turned it into a $100 million business. But here's the thing. Mr. Sharma wasn't just a businessman. He was old school. The kind of man who believed that your word is your bond. If he shook your hand, that was legally binding in his heart. Now, Meera grew up watching this. She saw her dad wake up at 4 in the morning, drive to sites himself, and personally know the names of every single worker. Not just the managers. The welders, the electricians, the security guards. She learned early that in her father's world, people came first. So when he died of a sudden heart attack 6 months ago, Meera didn't just lose a parent. She lost her teacher. The funeral was huge. Hundreds of people showed up. But one person stood out. A man in his late 30s, rough hands, tired eyes, holding the hand of a little girl who couldn't have been more than 7. He didn't stand with the VIPs. He stayed in the back, near the gate. Meera almost didn't notice him. But then she saw something strange. He was carrying an old, worn-out notebook. And he looked like he was waiting for the crowd to leave so he could talk to her alone. A week after the funeral, Meera is buried in paperwork. She's going through her dad's files when she finds something weird. A handwritten note stuck inside a ledger. It says, Raghu, welding job. Final payment pending. And next to it, her father's signature. That's it. No amount. No date. Just that one line. Meera asks her finance team about it. They have no record of any pending payment to a Raghu. In fact, the company's books are clean. No outstanding debts. So she almost forgets about it. Until one evening, her assistant buzzes her and says, There's a man named Raghu here to see you. He's been waiting outside for 3 hours. She goes down to the lobby. And it's him. The same man from the funeral. He's wearing the same shirt. His daughter is with him again, sitting quietly on a bench, drawing in a notebook. He stands up when he sees Meera and says, Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. But your father, he owed me something. And I need to talk to you about it. No. Most people in Meera's position would call security. She's a CEO. She has meetings. She has investors breathing down her neck. But remember, she's her father's daughter. So she invites him to her office. Raghu sits down and takes a deep breath. Then he says, Your father saved my life. Not in a dramatic way. No burning building. No hero stuff. But 7 years ago, I was a mess. Drinking too much. No job. My wife had just left me and my daughter. I couldn't even afford milk for her. One day, I was standing outside your father's site, begging for work. Most people would have shooed me away. But your father came out himself. He looked at me and said, Can you weld? I said, A little. He said, Good enough. Start tomorrow. Meera listens. She doesn't interrupt. Raghu continues. For the next 7 years, your father treated me like family. He paid for my welding certification. He helped me get sober. He even sent gifts for my daughter on her birthday. I owed him everything. But here's the thing. 6 months before he passed, he asked me to do a special welding job on a bridge support beam. It was dangerous. High up. Bad weather. But I did it. And after I finished, he said, Raghu, I owe you extra for this one. I'll pay you next week. Then Raghu opens his worn notebook. Inside, there's a page where Mr. Sharma wrote, Raghu bridge job, 50,000 rupees. And it's signed. Dated. Meera looks at it. 50,000 rupees is nothing to her company. It's less than what she spends on office coffee in a month. But Raghu says, I don't care about the money. I came here because your father never broke a promise in his life. And if he owed me something, I know he would have wanted to make it right. But he died before he could. So I'm not here to collect. I'm here to tell you that you don't owe me anything. I just wanted you to know that your father was an honest man to the very end. Here's where it gets crazy. Meera is moved. She wants to write him a check right there. But Raghu shakes his head. No, he says. I didn't come for money. I came to clear your father's name. That's all. But then Meera notices something. Raghu's hands are shaking. Not from nerves. From pain. She asks him what's wrong. And he admits that during that dangerous bridge job, he injured his shoulder. Badly. He can't weld anymore. He's been surviving on odd jobs. But rent is due in 2 weeks. And he doesn't know how he's going to feed his daughter. So now Meera has a real problem. She can just give him the 50,000 and call it a day. That would be the easy thing. But she remembers what her father taught her. Don't just give people fish. Teach them how to fish. Meera doesn't sleep that night. She stays up thinking about Raghu. About how her father saw something in him when no one else did. About how one injury could destroy a man who spent 7 years rebuilding his life. The next morning, she calls Raghu and asks him to come back to the office. When he arrives, she doesn't hand him a check. Instead, she hands him a contract. She says, My company is starting a training program for welders. We need an instructor. Someone who's been in the mud. Someone who knows what it's like to fail and get back up. The pay is triple what you made on site. And you'll never have to climb a bridge again. Raghu starts crying. Right there in the CEO's office. His daughter runs over and hugs him. And Meera? She doesn't say anything. She just slides a box of tissues across the table. But here's the twist. That debt her father owed? It wasn't 50,000 rupees. A few weeks later, Meera finds another letter in her father's safe. This one is addressed to her. It says, Meera, if you're reading this, I'm gone. There's a man named Raghu. I didn't owe him money. I owed him my life. He saved my son. Wait, what? Meera had a brother? No. She reads on. Turns out, years ago, Mr. Sharma's only son, Meera's older brother who died as a teenager, fell into a construction pit. Raghu, who was just a young worker at the time, jumped in and pulled him out. But he couldn't save him. The boy died in his arms. Mr. Sharma never told Meera this because he didn't want her to carry that pain. But he spent the rest of his life quietly taking care of Raghu. Not out of debt, but out of love. Meera drives to Raghu's small apartment that evening. She knocks on the door. He opens it, surprised. She doesn't say a word. She just hands him the letter. He reads it. His face goes pale. Then he looks at her and whispers, I never told anyone. Your father made me promise. Meera asks, Why didn't you just tell me the truth from the start? Raghu says, Because your father didn't want you to think less of him. He blamed himself every single day for your brother's death. He thought if he had built safer sites, maybe that hole wouldn't have been there. So he didn't want you to know. He just wanted me to be okay. And that's when Meera realizes. The debt was never money. It was a secret her father carried for over a decade. And Raghu came to her not to get paid, but to make sure that secret didn't die with Mr. Sharma. Because some debts aren't about cash. They're about closure. So what did Meera do? She didn't fire Raghu from the training program. She promoted him. She made him the head of safety for all her construction sites. And every year on her brother's birthday, she and Raghu's daughter plant a tree together. Because that's what her father would have wanted. This story hits hard because it shows you something simple. Honor isn't about what you owe people. It's about how you treat them. When no one is watching, Mr. Sharma could have walked away from Raghu years ago. But he didn't. And Raghu could have stayed silent. But he showed up at a CEO's door with nothing but a worn notebook and a broken heart. That takes guts. The next time you think a debt is just about money, remember this. The biggest debts we owe are to the people who believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves.